Hi, kids. So it's been a little while. Things happen you can't change. But this is part one of Easter. I want you to know what Easter is about. And so today, we won't be doing no questions and answers, but we're going to finish this up on Easter Sunday, hopefully. And today, I'm just going to read some things and give you some thoughts about the days leading up to Jesus' death on the cross. It's in the New Testament in the book of Matthew. Jesus and his 12 disciples had been in the upper room, and they were celebrating the feast of the Passover. So there might have been some more people there, but we're going to concentrate on Jesus and his disciples. And as they're there, Jesus is taking the bread and breaking it and saying, "This is my body, eat." And then he takes the wine and he said, "This is my blood, drink." And then he tells them they're not going to be a part of him unless they do. And so then they sung a hymn together. That's a spiritual song. Probably something about the blood. I don't know. That's not told. But just something that would bring him glory, I'm sure. But he tells one of them during this time that one of you is a devil and you're going to betray me. And he tells them they're all going to flee from him. But even though he's telling them these things, they really don't understand. So after they sung the hymn, here's what happens. When they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Then saith Jesus unto them, here it is, the rest of the story. "Ye shall all be offended because of me this night. And here's why. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee." And Peter, he's so passionate, but he jumps. Peter answered and said to him, "Though all men shall be offended because of you, yet will I never be offended." And Jesus said unto him, unto Peter, "Verily I say unto thee, that this night before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice." That's 3 times. And Peter said unto him, "Though I should die with thee, yet will I not deny thee." Likewise also said all the disciples. Peter gets a bad rap, but Peter's the first one to jump in to try to do something anyway. But they all said the same thing. Then cometh Jesus with them to a place called Gethsemane, and saith unto his disciples, "Sit ye here, while I go and pray yonder." And he took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee. So he took Peter, James, and John. And he began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then saith he unto them, "My soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here, and watch with me." And he went a little bit further, and he fell on his face, and he prayed, saying, "O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt." And he cometh unto the disciples, and findeth them asleep, and saith unto Peter, "What? Could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away again the 2nd time and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done." And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And I just want to make mention, a young man in our church preached a message the other night. It was heavy eyes, heavy prayers, and heavy cups. And this is what that story was about, and I loved it, but it was bittersweet. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away again and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same words. So we know what Jesus was praying. We know where he was when he was praying it. Anyway, then cometh he to his disciples, and saith unto them, "Sleep on now, and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that doth betray me. And I'm going to go back in case it's not in this part of the story. And the one that's going to betray him was Judas Iscariot. He said, I've chosen you 12, and one of you is the devil. And Judas Iscariot was the man. And he betrayed him. I'm going to go ahead with this and tell you for how much. But he said, I'll tell you this secret. When we get to the place we're going, the one that I kiss will be the one. So let's go on. And while he yet spake, lo, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude with swords and staves, from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, Whomsoever I shall kiss, there it is, that same is he, hold him fast. And forthwith he came to Jesus and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him. And Jesus said unto him, Friend, wherefore art thou come? Then came they and laid hands on Jesus, and took him. And behold, one of them which were with Jesus stretched out his hand, and drew his sword, and struck a servant of the high priest, and smote off his ear. So Peter pulled his sword out and smote Malchus's ear, took it off, and Jesus put it back on. I've often thought, what in the world did Malchus think about all this? But we find out what Malchus thought later on. Then said Jesus unto Peter, Put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Thinkest thou not I cannot pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall the scripture be fulfilled, that thus it must be? In the same hour said Jesus to the multitudes, Are ye come out as against a thief with swords and staves for to take me? I sat daily with you teaching in the temple, and you laid no hold on me. But all this was done that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the disciples forsook him. Remember, he told them they would, and fled. And they that had laid hold on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas the high priest, where the scribes and elders were assembled. But Peter followed him afar off into the high priest's palace, and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Now the chief priests and elders and all the council sought false witnesses against Jesus to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the last came 2 false witnesses, and said, This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of God, and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose and said unto him, Answerest thou nothing? What is it which they witness against thee? But Jesus held his peace. And the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou be the Christ or not. Jesus saith unto him, Thou hast said. Nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter shall ye see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, He hath spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now ye have heard his blasphemy. What think ye? They answered and said, He is guilty of death. Then they spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, Prophesy unto us, thou Christ, who is he that smote thee? Now Peter sat without in the palace. Peter went to the palace, he followed far behind. And a damsel came unto him, saying, Thou also wast with Jesus Christ, Jesus of Galilee. Then he denied before them all, saying, I know not what thou sayest. And when he was gone unto the porch, another maid saw him, and said to him, to them that were there, This fellow was also with Jesus of Nazareth. And again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. And after a while came unto him they that stood by, and said to Peter, Surely thou art also one of them, for thy speech bewrayeth thee. Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew. Peter remembered the word of Jesus, which said to him, Before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. And he went out and wept. He cried bitterly. When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. And when they bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then Judas, which had betrayed him, here's the rest of his, well, not the rest of it, but more of his story. When he saw that he was condemned, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver. I knew that was coming up, so you guys know how much that he was bought off for, 30 pieces of silver, to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood. They said, What is that to us? See thou to it. And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed and went and hanged himself. He committed suicide. Lost my place. And the chief priest took the silver pieces and said, It is not lawful to put them into the treasury, because it is the price of blood. And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field to bury strangers in. Wherefore that field was called the field of blood unto this day. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom they of the children of Israel did value, and gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord appointed me. And Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, Art thou the king of the Jews? And Jesus said, Thou sayest. And when he was accused of the chief priests and elders, he answered nothing. Then said Pilate unto him, Hearest thou not how many things they witness against thee? And he answered him too never a word, insomuch that the governor marveled greatly. Now, here's the feast, and what happens at the feast. Now, at the feast, the governor was wont to release unto the people a prisoner, whom they would. They got to choose. And they then had a notable prisoner called Barabbas. Therefore, when they were gathered together, Pilate said unto them, Whom will ye that I release unto you, Barabbas or Jesus, that is called Christ? For he knew that for envy they had delivered him. When he was set down on the judgment seat, here's a smart woman. His wife sent to him, saying, Have thou nothing to do with this just man? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. But the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Jesus. The governor answered and said unto them, Whether of the twain will you that I release unto you? They said, Barabbas. Pilate said unto them, What shall I do then with Jesus, which is called the Christ? They all say unto him, Let him be crucified. And the governor said, Why? What evil hath he done? But they cried out the more, Let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but that rather atonement was made, he took water and washed his hands. And he said before the multitude, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it. Then answered all the people and said, His blood be on us and on our children. It is today. They got what they wanted. Then released he Barabbas unto them. And when he had scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus. Here's some things that happened to him in the common hall. Into the common hall, and gathered unto him the whole band of soldiers for one man. And they stripped him and put him on a scarlet robe. And when they had plaited, he saw him, I believe, plaiting that crown of thorns, they put it on his head and a reed in his right hand, and they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews. They say that they still play this game. It's called the King's Game. I don't know, but this is sure one time I wish they hadn't have. And they spit upon him and took the reed and smote him on the head. And after they had mocked him, they took the robe off of from him and put his own raiment on him and led him away to crucify him. And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his cross. And when they were come to a place, here comes a scary place, kids, named or called Golgotha. That is to say, a place of the skull. This is a real place. It's still over there. They gave him vinegar to drink, mingled with gall. And when he had tasted thereof, he would not drink. I bet his lips was beaten and bruised and cracked, and that vinegar would have burned him so bad. But here's the rest of today's story. They crucified him and parted his garments, casting lots, like throwing dice to see who it landed on, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet. They parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. And sitting down, they watched him there. Now here comes the cross. We're just about done, guys. And set up over his head this accusation written, "This is Jesus, King of the Jews." Then were two thieves crucified with him, one on the right hand, another on the left. And they that passed by reviled him, wagging their heads, and saying, "Thou that destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself, if thou be the Son of God. Come down from the cross." I, for one, Miss Nancy, is so glad that he did not. And he could have, but I thank him that he didn't. He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. No, they wouldn't have. He trusted in God. Let him deliver him now if he will have him, for he said, "I am the Son of God." Jesus told him the truth, babies. I am the Son of God. The thieves also, which were crucified with him, cast the same in their teeth. Miss Nancy really don't understand that. They was probably just saying the same things. Now from the 6th hour, there was darkness over all the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani." That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" Some of them that stood there when they heard that said, "This man calleth for Elias." And straightway one of them ran and took a sponge and filled it with vinegar and put it on a reed and gave him to drink. The rest said, "Let be, let us see whether Elias will come to save him." Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. That's where we're going to stop today. But on Easter, Lord willing and help us, you'll hear the rest of that story. See you next time, guys.